Hello there. Today I've got a Roberts 3-band radio on the bench. It's an R9993. It looks as if it's possibly an Argos return, looking at the label that's stuck on the end of it there. And on the top it's got what I think is RPL, which suggests it's been replaced. Having looked inside, there was another piece of paper there with not tuning, and I think that's again RPL, indicating it's been replaced. So I've had a quick look at it, and when you turn the knob for tuning, the dial indicator isn't moving, and you get no tuning response from the radio. It's just white noise. So I suspect that the cord that goes from the knob through the tuning mechanism to the dial is snapped. Now, I've managed to pick some cord up from eBay. I forget how long that is. It's quite a number of meters there, and it was not that expensive. I think it was £2-ish. I just forget offhand now because I've had it knocking around for a while. So I've never done one of these before, but luckily I've got a white one of these with a different fault. So I'm going to take that one apart and have a look at the way it's routed and have a go at rerouting it with the new cord. So let's get it apart and see how we get on. Okay, so we've got 5 screws to remove. There's 4 here and 1 inside the battery cover. So let's get them out. Okay, let's see what happens now. And it's clipped in at the front there. There we go. Right, there's a couple of plugs, one for the aerial and one for the battery connection to undo, and then the back comes away. Oh, there we go. There's a string snapped. So let's have a look. Well, looks like we need to remove the board, so I'll take this out, this one out. Oh, wait a minute. No, not that one. This one. That, I think, just holds the wheel. That one of the pulleys maybe. Don't know about that one either. That one. And that one there, I think. Right, you've got to take the knob off. Okay. Right, now it will come out. Right, well, to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to take the headphone socket off, so I'm not pulling on that cable. Oh, and disconnect the speaker. Right, turn it over. Right, there we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the cord off to get the length of it. I think that's the best approach. So let's just get it off here. That should unhook from there. Turn it all the way one way. And that should right, so I've now got the cord and I should be able to get the length reasonably accurate if I measure that, and I should also be able to attach the indicator in roughly the right place in relation to this end with the spring on. So I'm going to get some cord organised, cut to length, and I'll be back. Right, so I've had a bit of a change of plan. I'm not going to try and cut this to the right length by measuring the old one, because where it's snapped, it's frayed and it looks as if it could be stretched slightly at the fracture point, so it won't be that accurate. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to start with putting a loop on one end of my string. Now the string I'm using is 0.6 millimeter. The string diameters do come in different sizes, but the one for this particular radio is 0.6. So there's our loop. Let's trim that bit of surplus off. Like that. Now I'm going to thread this to the mechanism as it is, and I think it'll be easier than trying to get a length any other way. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is turn the wheel all the way anti-clockwise until it stops. And we're going to take our cord and hook it over the little spigot there, and then we're going to pull it around the wheel, keeping it as taut as we can, over to this first little pulley, and go round it and then over the top of that second pulley, and then there's a little groove there in the plastic, through that, through the larger groove above it, onto the spindle, and then we're going to go around the spindle on the far side, starting at the bottom, and do around about 5 wraps, keeping it as tight as we can. Oh, wait a minute, I've missed it. And then we come off the pulley. Hang on, one of my little pulleys is off the spindle, around that one, across to the next one on the far side, around, down that one, and then through that little slit there onto the other side. Now, I'm not going through this one at the minute because I'm going to leave it out of that to give it some tension after I've connected it up to the spring, and I'll just hook it over there after. So then we come back onto the plastic wheel to the top of it, go all the way round, and into the slot and across. Now at this point we're going to need the spring, so just going to let that go in a minute. Take our spring, put it in the hole, like that. Take the end of our string and thread it through the spring like so, and then pull it through. Just make sure the string is still going round your wheel. Okay, now at this point, pull back to put tension the spring. So at this point here is where we need to tie off. So I'm going to take a marker and mark it there. Once you've marked it, you can relax it, unhook your spring and unthread it so we can get at it. And now what we'll do is we'll find a mark on the string, which is there, and we'll tie that off there. Just a case of coaxing it along until we get the spring where we want it. I think that's as close as we'll get it. Whether this is the correct way of doing it, I don't know, but it's the way that I'm doing it. So we tied it off, and now just trim that off. Now it's just a case of rethreading it. Still not putting it through that last Still not putting it through here yet until I've hooked it off, because it'll give it the last bit of tension hopefully. Off. Okay, let's get the spring in. Oh, bugger. This is one of them jobs I wish I never bloody started. Right. Finally, it's in. We'll now pop that over that top one. So, what we've got, we come off this one, around, off this one, around, through here, through there, 5 wraps around there, starting at the bottom, across, through there, that one, around, onto the spring, and there. Now in theory, if I'm right, that should, there we go, it's turning the wheel, it's working as it should. Right, fiddly job to do, I must admit, but it's done. So, just a case now of reassembling. Right, so before we can put it back in the case and fully assemble it, we need to put the dial indicator back on. So, if you make sure that it's all the way back to one side, which is all the way anti-clockwise on that wheel, so it's at its furthest travel this way. You could do it the other way, I suppose, it doesn't matter, it's just that I'm doing it this way. And take your indicator and you'll see that where the cord goes through, there's little grooves on the 2 outer lugs, and then the middle lug is just a groove on the top side there. So if you just take your cord and lift it out slightly and get this and just hook it over the far one, through the middle one, over the top, so it hooks into the bottom one, like so. You can then pop it into position, so it ends up looking like that. And then making sure your cord's still in that position, just slide it to the far end, like so, and I'm just going to use a little bit of super glue just to stop it from possibly sliding on the 2 outer lugs, like so. That should do it really, and then it should, yeah, that's fine. So let's get it back assembled and we can try it out. Okay, so that appears to have cured it. As you can see, the dial indicator is now moving up and down the scale as it should. Let's just switch it on briefly, make sure it appears to be tuning alright. I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I'll just leave the aerial down. Yeah, that seems to be good. Now, not saying the method I've used to fix it is the correct method, but it's worked for me, so hopefully if you use the same method that I've used, it'll work for you. So I hope it's been some use to you. Many thanks for watching, and hope to catch you in the next one.